Good morning, everybody. Yesterday was a little bit of a surprise. It shouldn't have been, I suppose. But, I thought starting off the year and that gap up that occurred was to the top of the trading range, but it was a gap above these pivots here. And as I said in yesterday's pre-market review, my thinking was, okay, it pulled back to the top of the pivots. We get some kind of reversal, and that didn't happen. It did happen initially, and it failed, and then it kept going down to the next level, and that failed, and then it went down to ultimately the next level. It didn't get to the bottom of the trading range, and now after this red bar, it's gapping up again. So it's hard to make a real assessment. I mean, when I say real assessment, I mean an assessment to act on. Yeah, I see, Don. By the way, I do this every once in a while. I get a little brain damage and forget to put the charts up and realize I'm speaking to myself. I'm not speaking to myself, but I'm speaking to myself about the charts I'm looking at. Good morning, Tim. Everybody there on the internet. So I was talking about the gap up. And so when I see a gap up like this, right? We talked about the bar by bar of what was happening prior to yesterday morning. And there's a bottoming tail bar, which has begun to establish possible bottom of a trading range. And then we get this wide range bar. And it's like, okay, it's going down. And it gaps up and you get a green bar. And then you get a bottoming tail bar that breaks below the prior day's low. And it closes high. And okay, we had the holiday. And now it's gapping up. So a pattern like this, while at resistance, is probably going to have some trouble, of course. As we always do, we're looking over to the left there, and it's gapping to resistance. So based on what preceded it, historically, it's okay. You buy the pullback. You don't buy the gap up unless it goes sideways for, whatever, 15 minutes or so. And then maybe it forms a bottoming tail bar on the 5-minute chart, and then it breaks higher. Now, we knew the upside would be limited initially, and the moving averages weren't really aligned with much of anything, right? We talked about this little area right here, and it had a void to move up. And so the buyers stepped up on the pullbacks, but obviously not enough, and down it went. We could take a look at that, but there's an initial failure right there, and it moved up, and then as it started to move down, buyers couldn't hold it. An attempt here to turn around this bottoming tail bar here, and that fails at a little minor nothing kind of resistance area. So sellers were clearly in control, and so here we are, this gap up again. And wait a sec here, my screen is okay. And so we get a gap up pretty deep into the red bar. And what do? Well, obviously, for me, wait a little while because it's not up to the top of the range yet. And now the question becomes, can this now hold the top of the range for a little while and possibly move up toward the top of the pivot there, which obviously isn't far. So we're still in question. This is a picture of uncertainty. Why is uncertainty? Well, it came down to support. Well, we go back a few weeks ago and talk about the angle of retracement that occurred, and we reviewed. And that pattern typically results in something like this, and then follow through lower, possibly what it's called as a bear flag, where it kind of churns up and an upward angle and then breaks and goes lower. And this is just holding here. So clearly it's just a trading range. Alex is reminding me of news that's coming out. 10 o'clock ISM. That's potentially a mover. 10 o'clock is Jolts. FOMC minutes at 2 o'clock. So bunch of news throughout the day. Maybe it's another go nowhere day. But we just look, stop losses. We don't get chopped up, right? All we can do is trade the patterns as they occur according to our trading plans. And so now, again, as it gaps up here, it's a nice size gap into a red bar, plenty of resistance overhead. And the question is, does it come down and fill the gap into 10 o'clock, which could be a buy setup? But we'll see. We'll see. Right now, it's just a lot of flip-flopping going on here. Lots of flip-flops. And Qs, how much are they gapping up? Kind of like the same, a larger range bar. This was at support. This was a better pattern for potentially going higher. Since it was down as much as it was into a support area, this breakdown failure, green bars, and we get this. And we wait, see if it gets out of the trading range here. Let me just take a peek over. SPX, if you traded either side of the numbers, was fine. We got going a little late yesterday because of issues with Zoom, so I couldn't check the quotes. But if you followed the recommendations, even without the quotes, you were fine, even on the downside. Let's see here. $37.60 to $37.55. There you go. McGraw's got it. So that's the bottom of the trading range. That's good. And since this is gapped up, it's got a long way to go to get down there. McGraw's helping me out here at $37.60. Where's my bonus? Something don't look right here. No. 39.10. That's right. And we're back to accepting these little tiny premiums. That's interesting. Yeah, I would think so. We're only 3,800 is a big gamma level, which we have to pick a day, McGraw. I think maybe next week. Tell me what's good for you, and we'll do it at lunchtime. So it can't be on Wednesday since we do MT Live, but I'd like to do a lunchtime, talk about gamma and all of that. Tell me what day is good for you. And 39.10, only 60 by 65 now. But so for those of you that don't know, well, about credit spreads, not so much about this. We pick levels where you'd say, okay, who the hell could trade a credit spread with only that amount of premium? Well, you just go super wide. And if you know anything about credit spreads, if you go, it's super wide, 20 to 30 wide. And so if you do that, if it hits your number, you're going to be in a fetal position. And credit spread, your risk is the spread, right? How many strikes between the spread. And so we always pick spots that we believe to be impossible to get to, right? Impossible is, there's no impossibles in the market, but theoretically, just based on chart patterns like this, moving averages, I look at something, what's the average range day to day? What would the range be? Have to be to get there? Would it be an abnormally large range where, even like something like this bar right here, which is super large compared to the most of these, would it exceed that? So there's a combination of things. To a lesser degree, what's going on with market internals, which you can see, this is kind of crazy here, that sentiment is way down here. And it's, I think, part of the reason why, the markets won't go down. there's so much bearish sentiment. And if you look at, let me see if I have the I don't think I have that one on a chart here, but this is equity. I mean, this is like, wow, equity put call ratio at 2.5. I mean, they're just betting that it was going to crash. And I wasn't sure, is that because of, just the end of the year? But I don't have a chart. But the chart of the 5-day MA with the bands of the equity is like, whew, it's like way down. So it really supports, this level not breaking. But I'll tell you, if for whatever reason it might break, we know there's a void below, and it'll get nasty. Anyway, right now it won't break, and if it can get through up here, it's got a little void, and I would have never thought initially that it could rally up here. And we've talked about 4,000 being a big level there at the expiration and later this month. But if it can get through this top of this range, it definitely opens up the possibility. So all that option talk aside, we got a trading range, and if it can get through the top, it'll go up to the next level. And if it gets through the bottom here, it's going to go down. And right now it's in the middle of the range. So don't fight it other than scalps. All right. NQs, just going nowhere. I guess we all hope that things would change a little bit with this schizo.
An alert target has been reached.
Okay, well, look at that. And look at that. How tight can it get? I mean, look at the moving averages. The 50 rising, all right, this was moving up, and the 20 coming down, and they're starting to pinch together there. It's like, and you can see the whippy range, top and bottom of the range. How long can this last? And that's the whole idea, looking at things like visual aids like this, where the moving averages are coming together, where historically that's beginning to communicate something's getting ready to break. Because look, this isn't some obscure stock that could just, go into a coma for a long time. The markets are not going to stay this way for an extended period of time. It's just what's going to move it. Maybe today's economic news. I mean, right, so we'll see. The Russell doing absolutely nothing here. Same story. And transports doing absolutely nothing. But buyers on the dip. And interest rates, coming way down, and it really didn't help the market yesterday. But now pulling back, and a sharp pullback. So that same concept of an angle of retracement, and that's deep. And so let's look at the bonds to get a better perspective of that. I'm surprised that isn't up further. Come on. Anyway, came down to support and popping up. And so just in a wide range. And look at that angle of retracement. It's going to go down. Interest rates are going to go up. So look, the takeaway from all of this that I'm looking at and talking about is no matter where I look, I don't get a clear message as to the direction. Well, down here, I would have said, okay, this thing should bounce, and it's bouncing. But all of these other intermarket relationships don't really tell me much about this market coming out of a trading range at the moment. Now we've got the dollar starting to move up, and all last year, that was an inverse relationship, and all this down movement, further down didn't help the markets. So that's kind of bearish. Bitcoin, nothing going on there. Let me drag this down a little bit. My alert to see maybe it can pop out of here. And this keeps grinding up. That's a grind. You see how the bars overlap in gold. Finally breaking out of this whippy little range here. So definitely potential to move higher there. Well, the next pivot isn't that far away. It's interesting that all of a sudden it's starting to move up. Um, anyway, markets continue to yes, exactly, Stephen. A whole lot of nothing. Greg, where's all the money from the mutual funds pouring into the markets? Well, Rob, do we really know? I mean, we assume that money pours into the markets at the end of the year or at the end of the month and the beginning of the month, which are those automatic 401ks that just put money into the markets. And as you think about that from that point of view and say, well, if all of this money is pouring into the markets, are they putting it to work immediately? Are they waiting? Are these funds waiting for lower prices to put that money to work? Is supply overcoming all of that that's coming in, which would be bearish? So no matter how we try and massage this uncertainty, it leads back to questions and uncertainty. And that's the bottom line, which means stay out of the way of this mess until we get something decisive to happen. Will the Speaker of the House decision move the market? I tell you, I don't know. These Republicans, they better get their SHT together because where was the red wave, which was a freaking red, like little pond trickle? Right. They couldn't, they had like 3 votes. They can't get it together. What are they doing? Democrats, which we all know, sorry if you're a Democrat out there, but this Joe Biden, this whole scenario with this Kamala and the whole thing, it's just a total cluster F with what I call communists that are trying to destroy this country. But, are these Republicans really on our side? I don't know. Politicians are, I don't know, just depending on who they are, you can just look at them as a different side of the same bullshit until something happens. And I guess that was the attraction of Trump. But enough of my spiel. It's all yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, that was quite a spiel there. So we entered a lot of put spreads yesterday on the pullback. And so this gap is obviously helping it. So yeah, even though we're having a hard time getting a bias, well, my bias is changing every friggin' day. At the end, it's like, if it does this, I'll do this. So yeah, that's a big mess, but we've been doing a great job finding individual stocks. So like Momo, I mean, look at this, outperforming. We did RL, we're in. Look at that big double bottom. So we can totally outperform the market 99% of the time. So here's another one I just posted. This is a Climo. This is a retest. And it's a double bottom, new low plus with a 1, 2, 3. And there's 3 different trades in this, or 4, whatever. 5, because it's a 180 reversal too. Now that I look at that, there are so many trades right here. Now it's gapping up with a monster price void. So that looks fantastic. Let's see what else I have over here. Arrow, we're already in. But if it trades over yesterday's high, you can add to it. Looks great. Logi, and there's a number of stocks like this that are in just incredible bullish trading ranges and breaking out. This is now gapping up, so we got to watch that on a pullback. I'm going to put that in a little window. Well, I'll put it here bottom right. OG. Look at Boeing. Look, Boeing's another one. Looks great. It's actually underperforming today, though, which is good. So then if it takes out yesterday's high, Planet Fitness. Well, that one closed week, but that was another one. So there's always something to trade using our approach. I made the comment, I'm shocked that Qs are holding up this well with Microsoft having a tizzy here. The only news I found was it's getting a downgrade. I find it hard to believe that it's getting whacked. $7 whackage just on a downgrade. That's a big percent. Apple yesterday was the whackage. Look at that. It's ugly. 52-week low. We said if this thing breaks down, well, it's not a core, but it's in a downtrend on the monthly chart now. Really, is that the news? Yeah, I got the UBS one, Alex, but look, Thane's adding something. And it's just out of curiosity because it's not going to change my technical approach 1 iota. We actually did a put spread on Netflix yesterday. We got filled in the gap on the pullback rather. So I tightened the stop on that. Thomas, NEM, yeah, bank, yeah, NEM, it's a breakout daily, weekly. That would have been a fantastic 1, 2, 3 had we had an inside bar, but it's gapping over it, so that it's not a 1, 2, 3 anymore. But sure, it's bullish. Sure. Tiva, yeah, I like it. Yeah, I like that, Thomas. Also would be a good 1, 2, 3, but see this had bullish. This was a buy setup. This was bullish consolidation at resistance. Little correction bar, now a closing breakout. It has room on the weekly, monthly. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Thanks. See, I love getting trades from you all. That looks fantastic. I'm going to put that on a chart right here. Earnings February 8th. But daily, weekly, monthly. Well, it's not a core now that I'm looking at the weekly, but target 1050. I mean, it could be a longer term trade. Look, big bottoming pattern here for 3 years, but you can see it gets rejected every time it tries to break out. Cream, another monster double bottom here. Momentum move down, up, retest. Now it's gapping up to 140, so the gap's too big, but we'll watch it on a pullback. Goldman got a downgrade, but it's kind of a sloppy W bottom, new low plus, buy setup weekly. So if it can somehow get back above yesterday's high, then that would be good. GEHC is a spinoff that's trading now from General Electric. It's GE Healthcare. I didn't know anything about that. What is, I thought they made motors and things. What are they doing in the healthcare business? All right, SE. We sold puts yesterday. My alarm just went off, the up alarm. So I'm just gonna raise the alarm now. Raise it to 55.50. And the low alarm 53. And that's how I keep track of open positions. There's GE. So, wow, GE actually, look at this big downside shakeout. I'm breaking out. That's the gap's gonna mess it up, my charts. So TradeStation has to adjust the spinoff percent. So that's going to be really hard for me to trade with the charts messed up. Honeywell had a downgrade call spread candidate, top and cutting. MGL, typically though, as a general rule, those military options are pretty spreading. What's going on with this toy? I don't know, it's not my style. Target got a downgrade. Oh, that's an ugly gap. Look, it's gapping under yesterday's low. So this is a sell setup. Right, it's in a downtrend. Had a deep retracement, so we never expect new lows. When you have a deep retracement like this, but this is a nice fluid move. So that 30-minute low is a sell setup idea. ENVX. This was past tense, a quality 1, 2, 3. Wide range out of a bottom, 2 little red bars here over yesterday's high, price void. Now it's getting whacked. So that just my natural inclination is that is a biotech getting whacked. Yeah, Meta, we tried selling a put spread yesterday. We never got filled, but yeah, it's relative strength today. Sure. Yeah, that's the best looking thing right now on daily 15. So yeah, that's definitely on the long list. Day trade or swing, ETN. Just had an alarm go off. That's a long idea over yesterday's high. UNF. Why am I looking at this? Oh, I think it's earnings, that's why, but it's not moving. But if it can take out yesterday's high, we'll come back to it. CRH. Another one of these strong sideways things, gapping up. We need a pullback. Vera getting whacked, so that pretty much says it's a bio. Look at Baba. Baba up. I totally frown from pretty much China stocks, but this K-Web is a bullish daily weekly, gapping up 33 and change, but need a pullback. That's a big gap. AMV was in a death trend. Something's happening here. We'll come back in 30 minutes. Microsoft, we talked about. Fling had an ugly day. PPG alarm, cat alarm. All right, so wow, Fling is getting killed. Let's see if buyers want to step up. All right, PP. This was a breakout trade. So PPG on a pullback. A cat. I had an early alarm. Let me reset it. Yesterday's high 240.69. SCHD alarm. Yesterday's high. It's kind of sloppy though. This was one I think I got out of Alex out of the Barron's cover thing, because this is a Schwab US dividend something or other. SMG up alarm. I'm short naked puts in this myself, but it's chasing now. I think we're just going to stay range bound again. Hey, Teva moving. Teva, yep, I like it. I feel like I'm chasing a little bit though, but if you want to put a stop under this pivot under 929, Teva looks great, but I'm not chasing. It's far from the 20, but looks good. Okta closed at 10. All right, awesome. Thanks. I love it when you all help me manage like that. All right, awesome. So yeah, I said bid 10 cents. So awesome. We made target on Okta. Thanks so much. Q's coming in the hardest. Microsoft still in a nosedive, 15-minute chart. Amazon had an ugly reversal. Same with Google. Let's check our midpoint on Netflix.